The NHL is one step closer to getting back on the ice as the league approved a return-to-play plan. Questions, of course, still remain on a return date. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman joining us now. Mr. Commissioner, it's nice to see you. I hope you're well. Thank you for coming on tonight.
I hope you're well also, and it's always good to be with you.
Tell me about this plan, at least the framework as you have it, and how flexible you think you might have to be with it.
Well, everything we've been doing for the last 150 days was to prepare and model every possible alternative and option we might have as circumstances were unfolding. And this plan that we ultimately agreed upon with the players and the Players Association on was intended to take into account fairness, integrity of the competition, so we could ultimately award the Stanley Cup, make sure, and not perhaps, but actually most importantly, account for players' safety and health and well-being, and for the players and for other personnel and for the communities in which we play. So the notion is we're going to open our training facilities, let our players get back and start working out. Many of them have never gone without skating this long. And then when we see what's developing and how they're feeling, then move to the next phase, which would be training camps. We'll decide when and how long once we see how the phase of training facilities goes. And then once training camp's over, we'll go into a playoffs that has a qualifying round and play it out. Obviously, we'll be playing over the summer and into the early fall. But this gives the clubs who were still in contention for the playoffs when we had to take a pause on March 12th, an opportunity to see whether or not they actually would have made the playoffs.
Nothing, of course, is date certain. Is there a date, though, in your mind that says we have to start playing by such and such time, or we won't be able to do it at all?
No, it's really more the other way. We will probably open our training facilities the first week in June. It'll give players an opportunity to get back to the markets in which they play, particularly players who may have to be quarantined, such as those coming back from outside of North America. And then we'll probably in some point in July, maybe mid-July, be in our training camp mode. And then we'll move in, depending on how long the players think that they need for training camp, then start playing. See, our health issues for the players are twofold. One is obviously COVID-19, and the other is our players have to get back in game shape because we don't want them risking injury by coming back too early.
I was going to ask you about the international players. You probably have the most international rank and file in all of professional sports. Do you know how many players, at least percentage-wise, have stayed in North America during the pandemic?
Actually, the last time I got the count, 44% of our players are currently in the markets in which they play, and roughly 17% of our players are outside of North America right now, based on the last head count I got.
How do you deal with sponsors and the kind of deals that you had in place and things that will need to be renegotiated? How are you thinking about that?
You know, from all of our constituents, whether or not it's the league dealing with the players and the Players Association, the level of cooperation and constructive dialogue has been outstanding. It's been very collaborative. And the same is true of our business partners, whether it's our media partners or our sponsors and our licensees. So we're all in this together, and we're going to all get out of this together. And that's the way we've been approaching it.
You know, lastly, I realized that not all teams played the same number of games before you stopped. How will you deal with stats and the leaders and goals? And I'm wondering, because it factors into player contracts and incentives and things like that.
Though, as it relates to impacting player contracts and potential bonuses, that's something we will work out with the Players Association. The fact of the matter is the regular season has been concluded because not all the teams are going to be participating in the play-in round and then the playoffs. But no matter what team you root for and have an affinity for, there'll probably be something in this plan that you wish was a little different. But when you look at the whole plan on balance, it's fair, it has integrity, it'll justify whoever ultimately wins the Stanley Cup. And we're doing the best we can under extraordinary circumstances that nobody in any business has ever quite experienced before.